Yo, what's goody? Spirit in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button. Give a comment on this episode. Let us know what you think. Today on Kueen Talk, we are thrilled to welcome Derric Holland, who is in the world of audio and queer media. After earning his associates in radio and television, Derric discovered his true passion for audio and launched his own podcast, the Grown Up Podcast, and never looked back. So please welcome Derric Holland.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. My name is Derric Holland. I am the host and producer of Grown Up Podcast. Pronouns are he, him, and I identify as a Black trans man. So very excited to be here and very appreciative. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on here. Just as we were discussing beforehand, you're on the other side of things now. Like, this is you said it was nice to be on the other side.
Yes, definitely.
You started your podcast in 2019, was that right?
Yes.
2019. So that was right before the pandemic hit. You're in radio, so you're not new to that world,
right?
But what made you want to be like, I want to start a podcast?
So, as you said, I earned my associate's degree in radio and television. That was my official major at the time. They've changed it, the course. Everything changes so much.
Right.
But yeah, so I earned my degree, and during the time studying in college, I just fell head over heels into audio, into radio, into podcasting. I was volunteering to do all kinds of projects where we were out there, doing projects in the community, doing interviews with people in the community and things like that. And I really started to fall in love with not only people all over again, because I've always had a passion for people since I was a kid. I've always just been so open to different people, different cultures, different environments, all that. And so getting into audio and podcasting and doing these interviews, it really made me fall in love even more with the idea of just talking to people and getting to know people and sharing stories. And so that is where I really just kind of fell deep in it. And once I graduated, I was like, I don't want to kind of just throw it in the trash. And,
Right.
I wanted to earn a degree, but I didn't want to earn a degree and make it useless. And so I wanted to put it to work. And I had all these notes, obviously, of course, from college as well, and all the things that they were teaching us. I had in my head. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to dump all of whatever is in my head out and get all these notes together and start this podcast. And that's what I did.
Yeah. And I think like you just the title of it, the Grown Up Podcast, can from my understanding, what it originated from is just like, people, you're grown now, what do we do?
Yes.
Like, where's life now?
Yes.
Like, you graduated, which I think is fitting for the title. Like, okay, I'm grown up now.
Yeah.
Let's start this podcast.
Yes.
So I love that concept.
Thank you.
Of what you're doing.
Thank you.
When it came to that, what have you learned just like in your own journey of just growing up? Life be lifing.
It indeed be lifing. I can certainly tell you. I mean, obviously, like throughout these 4 years of producing the podcast, I have gotten married, I've gotten divorced, and I've gotten remarried. So, just that in itself is very telling as far as how things can change so quickly in your life and how you just have to continue to adapt and grow and reach a new potential of who you can be every single day. And so it's been a battle. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's been a battle.
Yeah.
It's been a mental battle. It's been emotional, spiritual battle. I constantly say that a lot in my podcast. But coupling that with transitioning, I started transitioning about 2 years into the podcast. And so coupling that with transitioning, it's been like a whirlwind of relearning myself, relearning who I want to be, and then kind of falling in love with who I was, and being okay with who I was, because honestly, I wasn't. And so now
Yeah.
settling into myself, and the podcast has played a huge role in discovering myself. And like you said, the title Grown Up is what it is. It's figuring out how to be a grown up, figuring out how to do that with being me, Derric Holland, and trying to grow and be something and be someone in this big old world.
Yeah, it is. I can relate to that with just like I just started this podcast at the beginning of this year, but just starting this, I'm all like, I think when you do, it's like a journal in itself.
Yeah.
So it creates your own
Mm,
growth, and it just makes you like look inside, like especially when you're talking to other guests and you hear their stories and you relate and you're
mhm.
like, okay, and it just, especially being like a queer person, like I was telling you before, like I'm from Kansas,
Yeah.
so the black queer people here is very scarce,
Yeah.
and so seeing people that look like me, I mean, I'm having to search and seek for it outside of where I stay.
Mhm.
So doing that and learning from other people is just like creating growth within myself too.
Yeah,
So
honestly, like that's literally what I've been doing for the past 4 years, is connecting with so many people and hearing so many other stories that are pretty similar to mine, and some that are different, that allow me to think and be like, okay, that's a new experience. And then, as you said, it helps you grow and be someone else. And now people may recognize you, but you're a new you, and you're a better, more
yeah,
improved you. You've learned so many other things and other experiences and connected with other people. And so, yeah,
yeah.
it's
You're
definitely a
growing
journey.
up.
Yeah, exactly. You growing up.
Growing up. And you mentioned that you were in Texas earlier before, but you're new to Texas. Where are
Yes,
you originally from?
I'm originally from California.
Okay.
Yeah, originally from
Cali.
Oakland, but I moved to Stockton, and I lived there pretty much like for the rest of my life until I moved out to Texas now. But yeah, Cali, I miss it every day.
I'm sure you do. So you started your podcast journey while you were in Cali then?
Yes, I did. I started while I was in Cali, while I was married to my previous wife, and it was interesting to say the
Yeah.
least.
So when you moved to Texas, you were transition like you just like uprooted like the podcast too. Have you always did like the podcast in your home setting?
Yeah, I always did it in my home. I never did got like a computer setup or anything. I had purchased my MacBook in college, and I just been kind of rocking with it. And so when I got a mic, I was like, okay, all right, I'm getting somewhere. This is
Okay,
this pretty much
yes.
like all you do is press record, and I think I'm in there. And so when I got a couple episodes in, then you start to build that confidence. You know what I mean? You start to build that
Hmm.
confidence. You start to get that repetition in, and you're like, okay, like I can do this. And that's when I upgraded to this mic that you see on the screen now, and that gave
Looking
me,
nice,
yeah,
looking nice.
thank you.
Yes,
And it
looks
gave me
good.
even more of like a confidence booster of like solidifying, I'm here and this is what I want to do and this is my passion. And so, I just kind of been hitting the ground running, and just every year just evolve and just make sure that I'm catering to myself and the podcast in the best way possible.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And now, you're a producer at E3 Radio,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So is this what do you do your podcast full time and then you do that as well, or do you
Yes.
do something else?
Yeah.
So your podcasts are full time?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a lot of things full time.
I hear I hear that. Hear that.
Pretty much, well, I have a full-time job, a regular full-time job, and that's,
Okay, so you do have a full time
yeah.
job.
So, being independent, you got to support everything. You are the
Yeah.
the monetary sustaining of everything that's going on. And so, and also for me, I really want the podcast to be my passion. Like, of course, I would love to get money from doing this, of course, but I want to reiterate that podcast is something that I love so much, and I would do it for free, as I'm already doing now. And so
Hmm.
getting money from it would just be an additional bonus. And so I have a full-time job, I have full-time podcasts, and I also produce at the radio station.
Yeah, how has that experience been for you, producing the E3 radio, which is dope. Like
It's been so fun. It's been so fun. E3 Radio is a family. They welcomed me with open arms. I literally
Mhm.
went to a podcasting conference, and that is how I got in touch and got to know about E3 Radio. The owner, founder,
Nice.
she had went to the conference as well, and it was interesting because I had actually attended the conference virtually,
Oh.
connecting with people. And this is important because any medium that you, whether it's in person, whether it's online, social, whatever, you can connect, and I want to make
Hmm.
that very important for people to understand. And so when I went to this conference virtually and I was able to connect with not only her but all these other people, I was like, wow, like it just opens your mind and expands to all the kinds of opportunities that are out here that we may not understand that we can explore. And so
Yeah.
when I got connected with Anna Deshawn, who's the founder of E3 Radio,
Thank you for name dropping. I was like, name.
eventually, I got you. Anna Deshawn, please go check her out.
Yes.
She is the founder. She is incredible. She's also the host of Queer News podcast. So please go check that out as well. Yeah. And we had a meeting, and she was just so full of life and so welcoming and open arms and huge heart. And I just kind of shot my shot essentially. And I was like, hey, I'm a podcaster, but I love radio. It was essentially really my first love, radio. I did radio shows in college. I loved it, and I would love to, get in on the radio thing if it's possible. She was like, duh, of course.
That's
Like, we can
awesome.
always
That's
use
awesome.
more people with other skills and all of that. And so, it was kind of history from there, and we've just been having meetings and rocking since. So it's been so fun. And I was actually able to show up to an event that she put on with the whole E3 Radio family, and they also have a app called the Cube app. And
Right,
so
right. I was just
yeah, so it was like a launch party. It was a listening launch party, and I was able to show up, and everyone was there, and it was like, wow, like I'm
That's
here,
dope. That's
and it's
dope.
in
That's
Chicago.
dope.
And yeah, it was yeah.
Have you seen the Alexander Hamilton the musical? Have you seen
Yes,
that?
yeah.
So it's like, I was just in the room
Yeah.
where it happened. That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Totally.
I want to be in the room. I want to be in the room where it
Yeah.
happens. And
Most
that's
definitely.
awesome. You mentioned the Cube app, which in an interview that I seen with you and Anna, like you DM'd her, right, for
Yes.
your podcast to be on the Cube app, and is that where that connection started? Is just that first DM?
Yeah, it was the first DM of being like, "Hey, I want the podcast to expand." Essentially, ever since I started the podcast, I knew that I wanted to expand, and to
Mm-hmm.
a lot of mediums. I don't want to just be in the mainstream, which is like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Of course, you want to be
Mm-hmm.
there, but it's important to
Right.
spread the wealth, and there's a bunch of other things out here that you could give you opportunities, like I said. So I
Mm-hmm.
DM'd, hey, would love for you to check out the podcast and whatnot. It was around the time that they were trying to get podcasts together so they can do the launch. And she said she listened to it, checked it out, she loved it. And I was like,
Hell yeah, we in there.
right. I was like, we totally in there. It was crazy. It was such a crazy feeling. And yeah, it was literally history from there. And, that's when I had the
That's
meeting
so
and all
dope.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on all.
Thank
That's
you.
that's really
Thank you.
nice. And so now you're in Texas, and you're still doing that.
Yeah.
How's life in Texas for you now?
Whew, it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been such like a culture shock. Like the change has been pretty crazy. I've been here for I think like 9 months now or something like that.
Okay,
And
fresh,
yeah,
fresh.
very fresh face. Yes. Excuse me. Who said that it takes at least 2 years to get kind of accustomed to a new area and really like uprooting from state to state for sure.
Yeah,
And
that makes
so,
sense.
right. So I was like, okay, like I took that advice into consideration and waited with everything that has been happening, which has felt like hell, like raining down on me, like rocks just, coming down. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've gotten closer to God at the end of last year. And so I just been staying prayed up, trying to implement more meditating, just get a lot of emotional regulation in, and, just kind of take the Texas experience for what it is. And even
Yeah,
though it's been mostly negative, certainly the positive always comes after the negative. So I just been keeping my head
for
up
sure.
and, trying to connect out here. It's kind of hard though, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it is hard. It's hard to connect with people just like being an adult
Yeah.
too. It's like
Oh, you get
I
it.
don't know if you like go out often, but I'm not really the person that likes to go out every weekend. So it's like, how do you find friends at this age that we can network and grow together?
You get it. You get it. Yes, that is so crazy. I was just having this conversation with my wife. Like, I literally don't have any friends. I'm just not, I'm just put it out. I don't have any friends out here in
Yeah.
Texas. And that is literally due to like, how do I do this? Like, how do I know that these are the kind of adults, grown-ups that have good standards, more like things that you actually have to
Yeah.
care about now as a grown-up. Like, as a kid, you didn't care. You're like, just, yeah, let's play hopscotch
Right.
together or whatever. Like, like, this is so
For
fun.
real though.
But now it's
Yeah.
like I feel like majority of the time people are like, let's take a shot together. It's like, I don't always want to do that though. Like, so
Right. Yes.
what else can we do? And so it's quite difficult to like connect at face to face, I would say, and being an
Yeah.
adult and trying to figure that
Are
out.
you an introvert too?
Yes,
Yeah,
totally.
me
Like,
too.
I'm an extrovert in ways, but I have to be
Right.
comfortable, but other than I'm in the house. I'm a podcaster, for Christ's sake. Like I'm
Oh,
literally
man.
cooped up in the house, like in my black box, blinds closed, like don't come in. Like, I may even be recording, so don't.
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too, but this podcast has actually made me like a little bit more comfortable with being like extroverted in like the outside settings just because like if I see somebody that's a person of color and I may think they're queer, I'm talking to you. Like
Yeah.
before I
Yes.
wouldn't do that.
Yes.
But now I do it because one, like I don't have a lot of queer friends too, but I want you on the podcast too.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
come
Right.
so it's like a good conversation starter for me now.
Yes. That's where I find like a lot of people that I connect with in the friendship adult space is people that come to be on the podcast, and then I'm like afterwards, hey, you want to be friends?
Yeah.
And they're
I've
like,
literally done that with everybody on the
and
podcast.
they're like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a blindside thing, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to do this. We
Right.
can't just
Yeah.
say let's play hopscotch anymore. I'm just saying, like, I think that's
For
the
real.
most basic way. Do you want to be my
Yeah.
friend? And
Yes.
it's kind of it's worked. It's worked. I'll say that.
That's
I've got
yes,
some good
that's
numbers.
good. Yeah, because I feel like once I've done it, I realize they're in the same boat too. Like we're
Yeah.
talking, it's the same thing. Like as adults,
Yeah.
finding friends is just it's
hard.
different
Yeah.
because you've just grown away from the people that your high school friends. Like your
Yes.
high school friend, they're not my high school. I do have a couple, but it's just like we're very distant now. It's like
Yeah.
we've grown, and yeah, it looks
And
a
we
lot
all
different.
have,
So
different things that we're into. We have different ambitions now. Some of us have gotten married, some of us are single forever or whatever. It's just, and the mental mindset, you have to, I'm a firm believer in having people in your circle that have the same type of mindset as you. And literally, I'm in the season right now of finding the people that have that same mindset as me, because I think it's important.
it is.
At first, as a kid, I was like, everyone could be in my life. Everyone. Like, I love everyone. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can love everyone, but also when it comes to access to you,
That part.
there's some boundary that has to be there, because not everybody is in the same mindset as you. And so that's the season
Yeah.
I'm in right now.
Yeah, growing up, you hear that statement just like you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And growing up, you're like, nah, that ain't true.
Right.
But as an adult, as a grown up, you see that. You
Yeah.
definitely see that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mentioned in just like high school and stuff like that, you grew up in LA, which that lifestyle just is completely different from like mine. I can already tell you
Yeah.
that. Like How was growing up in LA and Oakland?
Whew, it's survival mode. I'll say that.
Okay.
And it's a survival mode that sticks with you throughout your life, that you have to get to the season where you're like, okay, this is something that have to work on, because survival mode is not a good mode to be in. Honestly, you're not
Right. Yeah.
really living. And I
Mm-hmm.
could constantly feel that throughout my life. And even when, my mom moved us from Oakland and moved us to a new area that she felt may was going to be better for us, but even that turned out to not be the greatest. And so trying to get out of that survival mode thing is very, 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 very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mentality, I'd say. Like, living there, you gotta keep your head on a swivel. You have to keep your guard up. You gotta keep your emotions in. You have to you've essentially built into this strong, quote unquote, person that is not really you. Like, I know it's not really a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who are hard, essentially, quote unquote. Like, we're all soft. Like, we're human. Like, we have emotions. We,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's okay, and I had to, it messed me up. It messed me up,
Yeah.
essentially trying to be someone I wasn't. I'm not a hard, quote unquote, person. I'm not a, keep my walls up and I'm not like that. I'm very much open. I love y'all. I love you, like, and I had to embrace that as a grown up and understand that that was okay to do that as a grown up.
Yeah.
And, now I'm just making the choices that I want to make that feels great for me, and not keeping that mentality, on me. I'm trying to shake that off of me, because it's not,
Yeah.
it's not healthy.
So you felt like growing up, you were like, were you like this? Can't nobody tell me shit type. That's
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, can't nobody tell me nothing. Like, if you fuck with me, like, I might think of something not the greatest. Like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna get you back, and it's definitely gonna be 100,000 times what you did to me. Like,
Play with me if you want
it
to.
literally, like, it's still in there, but just, I just know how to pack it real nicely and put a
Yeah.
bow on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that. It's, yeah, I didn't seen it all. I didn't been through it all.
Yeah.
I've had to be different types of myself, different versions of myself, or what have you. And,
Mhm.
having to do that is, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I never even was able to find myself or see myself, just because of having to live in an environment where you essentially have to put on a mask. And that's actually
Hmm.
something I talk about in episodes, putting on that mask and having to wear it every single day and be like, yeah, this is who I am. And it's not who you are. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
And many days I want to take the mask off. And now I'm like, you know what? Forget that thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm
Right.
just ready to
Yeah.
be me. And if you love
It,
me, you love me. If you don't, that's on you. And that's all right.
yeah.
You know?
Right. Did you grow up being more like masculine, like all
Yeah.
the time, or
Yeah.
yeah?
I definitely grew up, like, a lot of people would say tomboyish, or what have
Hmm.
you. So I definitely grew up like tomboyish, but say I was people pleasing to my family. And so
Mm.
I was like teetering, you know. Like, today I have a slight, and I can admit this, I have a slight envy for, mass presenting. I'm like, damn, I wish I was so bold. But I also know that I actually didn't really love myself. I didn't
Mm.
really see who I wanted to see when I looked in the mirror. So I know that played a huge part. And
Mm.
so, and I also feel happy that people are able to do that and be themselves. And so, I teetered a lot. Of course, my mom wanted me to put the dresses on for the certain occasions, or what have you. And,
Hmm.
my dad wanted to see the dress in certain occasions, or heels, or, but um, I try.
Did you give in? Did you do it?
Of course,
Okay.
yeah, I was the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
pleaser. Like, yeah, like, I was a people pleaser. But as I got older, like high school, like junior year, senior year, I was trying to discover my voice. I was trying
Hmm.
to say, hey, this is what I do like. But I was also hesitant about it. I was a very hesitant child. I was very scared of my emotions, because I had to put on this hard mask and, bottle my emotions up and be like, don't nobody fuck with me, and all this. And it's like, I didn't really need to do that, but now we're here, so it is what it
Yeah.
is.
So when you were like trying to discover yourself in like the later years of your high school, is this like when you were open and you start dating females or
Yeah, so pretty much my whole life was females.
okay. So you started dating at a young age?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so funny because, like, in middle school, I went to middle school with my cousins, and she would, oh, this boy likes you, and I'd be like, that's cool. That's what's up. And like, her and all of her friends would be like, let's set them up, and I'd be like, so like, on to the next
Does he
topic,
have a
or
sister?
like, you're right, like like, I'm just not interested. Like, it's just not there. And
Yeah.
so when I got to high school, I was like, oh yeah, it's my choice. Yeah. Huh? Like, I hugged this girl and it made me feel like this. Mm-hmm. What's up? Like, oh, you talking back
Yeah.
to me? Oh, you like me now? Well, what's up? Like, yeah, this is my realm.
Did you see a lot of that in like your high school and stuff like that too? Like it was open, like
Yeah.
because you went to, I
Yeah.
assume you.
Yeah, I did. And yeah, definitely open, definitely people who were like, I'm ready, I'm willing to try some things. And
Yeah.
I happen to also be the token trier. I
Yeah.
mean, it just, triers, token trier, it just goes hand in hand, and
Yeah.
that's just what it was. And it was part of me, of course, exploring and figuring things
Mhm.
out. And obviously it was them exploring and figuring things out. And so, that's what life is. That's what life is.
Yeah. So you started that journey figuring out in high school.
hmm
And when did you approach your family and when did you bring that back to your family?
So what was this like? How old are we? 13. I think probably like eighth grade, something like that. This was just before getting into high school. I so called myself starting early with the talking to women and dating. And this was around the time that the internet came out. I'm an internet baby. This is the first dial up. Like, that's me.
Yeah. Me
I know
too.
I
Me
got the
too.
youngness, but I promise I'm in that era. So this is around the time, internet started getting, popping,
Them Yahoo
MySpace,
chat.
yeah, the online chats, like, it was live, you feel me? So
I feel you.
I was the rebel child, like, trying to be in the chats, the online chats, and, getting crazy. But I did, of course, also leave a lot of that to in person, because I do like in person connection and stuff like that. And I feel like obviously there's a lot of things that people can tell you online that aren't real.
Mhm.
So it went back to in person. And so I met a girl, we were chatting or whatever, and she kind of got a little obsessed. Sorry if you're watching, if you happen this comes across, it's true. Like, I just, truth is truth. She got a little obsessed, and she started, I mean, we kind of lived a little close, but she started like following me home, like closer going home. And I was like, this is kind of crazy, it's kind of scary. And then she, like, one day she started giving me like love letters, like following me on the way home. So I was just like, ugh, like, this is
Oh
getting
gosh.
really, yeah, it's getting really weird. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should just like give it a try or something. Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, because I don't know what else to do with like someone who's a little
Yeah.
obsessed, other than give them a little taste, like, it's like,
Well, let's just test it. You
yeah,
seem so into me. Let's just give it a try.
exactly. So, I let them test the ride, and they didn't do so well, and they fell off. So that's it. That's okay. And so what ended up happening was my mom found the love letters, And so that was the start of my coming out story. And she was
Okay.
like, "What are these?" And that I got pulled down for the talk, and she kind of told me about the lifestyle, quote unquote, and how I couldn't possibly fathom the lifestyle, and that I couldn't possibly be feeling into into my coming out story. And after that, I was like, well, my mom knows, so everyone else can know. Who cares? Like, there's no sense in hiding. I mean, she's got a lovely mouth that opens anyway. So, let me just let's just do it from the source. And so I sat my dad down. I was like, oh, well, I called him. I remember this very distinctly. I called him. I was like, hey, Dad, we should have lunch. Let's have lunch. And he was like, all right, cool. We'll have lunch. Sat down before the food even came out. I think we went to Red Lobster, and the biscuits came out. The biscuits is popping. So we was on the biscuits. I got them settled in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A little butter in the mouth. Ooh, okay. And then I was like, let me add some extra butter, Pop. And I was like, yeah, Dad. I like girls, so yeah. And I'll never forget it. He dropped his head, and he had the most disappointing look on his face, and it broke me, and it hurt. And I was like, damn, I can't never tell this man nothing again, or trust this man, with my emotions ever again. And my mother, for that was a big, huge, pivotal moment in my life, as far as like opening up and understanding that it actually is okay to open up, but you have to,
Right.
there's a better way, or there's a better conversation to be had, or what have you. But my parents weren't the greatest at communicating, so I'm trying to learn that now. And at the time, it was just like, I've always just been like, well, the ball is dropped, so I don't know. That's what it is, So that was really my coming out story. And then, of course, everyone just found out from there, so it was easy.
Yes, like that's like courageous of you to just like, hey, let's go sit down in person.
Yeah.
Because I'd have been like, yeah, on the phone, just like, I ain't got to see the reaction. Just
That what's hilarious, and the kicker to that is that because essentially I had a second coming out story. And my second coming out story was kind of like that. I dropped a podcast episode, and I expressed all of my bottled up feelings about everything I've been feeling leading up to the point of knowing the decision that I'm making. And I had wrote a letter to my dad at the end of that, and I read it, and I cried. It was ugly and it was horrible, but it was also great and fulfilling and uplifting and freeing. And that was my way of re-coming out and not doing it to their face.
Yeah. Because do you have a relationship with them now?
We're working on it. It's been a up and down relationship for the longest time I can remember, and partly on their end, partly on my end. And at the end of the day, I just had to be like, look, I'm on this journey of healing and understanding myself, and so in the same space, I have to heal from them and understand them, and know that they're humans too, and they had choices and decisions to make. And even though they weren't the greatest, and they didn't help the greatest for me, that's okay. Life turns out the way it is, and the journey is going to journey, and you gonna keep pushing on. And so we're working on it. We've started slow, and slow and steady wins the race, I think. So we're getting there.
As long as you're moving.
Exactly.
Can't be. Yeah, we talked about this on Kueen Talk in the past. It's just like, when we do give our parents that information, we battle it with ourselves, right, before even saying the word. So how can we tell our parents and not have them battle something? Like, so it's like giving them that grace and time that we had to have for ourselves as well. Also, like, now that we have come to it, we can't sit in that while you figure it out. Just know, like, we're here, and we're trying to move forward. So
yeah
I know what you're saying about that. Like, it's a tough It's a tough battle.
It is.
And you're married.
Yes.
You're married
Yes.
twice.
Yes.
Was your family involved in that at all?
Neither time. No.
Neither time. Okay, so it's not even there yet.
No. I mean,
Okay.
they know of, but when it comes to my personal, I think I've always been extremely, extremely protective of it. I've always had, even family, anybody, I've had walls on my personal life. Like, we got it. Like, I'm an open book, and of course you can know, like, of course, whatever you want to know, but getting close, like, let you into the door.
Yeah.
I gotta look through the peephole for a really long time. And your energy gotta radiate through that peephole for me to be like, okay, I think you good. And
Yeah.
I love my family. Unfortunately, they just have never given me the energy that I felt would be okay to parlay in my space. So, and that's okay. That's okay. So I didn't involve them in my previous wedding, and I didn't involve them in my wedding now. And I'm okay with that, and they've expressed that it may sting a little, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad. Because I'm sorry, I'm glad, because that's what I want you to feel. If I'm being frank, I want you to feel like that, because I want you to feel like I'm not as involved. Like, that's strange. Like, why am I not as involved with someone that we share the same blood? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's really a thought process. And, I don't hate them. I'm not doing it to spite them or anything, but that's just,
it's about you. It's not about them.
That part. Exactly.
And especially that day. And if they're not accepting of you and your partner, why would you want to?
Exactly.
Like,
if I don't think you're going to bring the good, you're not going to be welcome. That's just simple as that.
Yeah. The married life. How is the married life for you?
The married life. The second time around is way, way better.
That's good. That's good.
And I'm not saying, because of the person, but it's just the growth and the learning that I've had, from the previous experience. It has been tremendous in who I am today and who I am continuing to develop into. And it plays such a huge role into the development of my manhood as well now. And, she's incredibly supportive. She's been incredibly supportive. She's been there to, like, literally right. Like, I hadn't even started taking tee shots yet,
Okay,
so
I was going to ask that.
We started dating, like, right when I had made the decision and I was going to start appointments, and, we met and sparks flew. But I've never been the person to, like, hide anything or hide any truth. So I was like, look, I'm still married. I'm in the process of divorce, and I'm also transitioning. So
you got a lot going on.
Yeah. So if you want to ride this ride, you got to be yay tall and withstand this much emotion.
That's dope.
And she was like,
that's
yeah,
good.
I'm down for the ride. And it's been a ride for sure. But it's been an amazing ride. It's a journey.
Yeah. How has your journey been with just, like, transitioning wise? Has it been smooth sailing for you? Like, no,
definitely not smooth sailing. I mean,
yeah.
if I'm kind of, taking the microscope and peeling it back a little bit, essentially smooth sailing, like, medically, yes. The start of it, medically, was very much smooth sailing. I can give props to California and their support, for trans people. They really, really, like, the ball, like, when I said, yeah, the ball flew. Like, I couldn't even catch up with the ball. In California, for real. I'm like, hold on, like, wait. They're like, okay, so they set up appointments, they ask up, okay, yeah, no, and it's like, I understand it, because yes, I know that this is the choice I make. I know what I'm doing, this and that, but the process is like, okay, yeah, we agree with you. And it's like, what? You support me? I've never had this much support before.
Don't know what to do with it all.
Right. And it was like T-shots. And it was like, okay, let's set up your top surgery. And then this is the bottom surgery. And I was like, okay. I've never had this much support before. Like, hold on. Like, I slow it down. Okay. Like, so medically, it was extremely smooth. Like, things went great. But of course, like physically, mentally, emotionally, that was all a lot to deal with. And every day is something new to deal with, and to strive towards being better in. So
Yeah, I was talking to someone in the past that was on the show who's also a trans man. And I don't even know why I never thought of it, but you guys are literally going through puberty again.
Yeah.
It is. And willingly putting yourself through puberty again.
Literally.
As a grown up. So it's like, man, all the life shit you're dealing with now, like as a teenager, it was enough. But now.
Listen. I literally have this conversation with my wife all the time. It's so funny. Like, when it comes to like the facial hair, like, of course, that's like a huge thing, at least for, I would say, a lot of us. But for me, it's a huge thing for me. And like, because part of it is like genes, part of it is, of course, like not being on T for that long. And it's just so much. So it's just like being misgendered just based off my facial hair is like, like you don't even know how hard it took me just to grow the patch. Like I'm literally in puberty. Like, it's coming. Like, help me. Like, it's an interesting experience for sure. I could say that.
How has your partner been supportive of your journey?
She's my only friend. Literally, like my best friend. She has been there when I started taking my T shots. She has helped me with getting comfortable with taking the T shots. She was there for my top surgery. She was there for the entire process, like appointment, drop me off, pick me up, take care of me after A1 day one. Like, she was there. She's been there for everything, literally every appointment. She's like, I want to come. I need to know.
That's good.
And it's been hard for her though, because of course, like I said, the medical thing has been smooth, but mentally, emotional, physical, spiritual, all of that is constantly being tested with the hormonal change. Like, right now I'm trying to get my medical so that I can restart T-shots. I only had enough to be able to last me for so long moving out here, and now I gotta redo a whole medical, history and get a new doctor and like all of that. And
you have to do all that because you moved. You can't just transition over because you went to a new state.
Nope. So I had Kaiser for forever because my parents, they got some pretty decent jobs. And at 26, of course, that ended. And then I had to get my own kind of medical, of course. So I was doing that. But then I got fired and I lost my job. But it was actually like the best thing that ever happened because I got to get on Medi-Cal. And then I also got to stay with Kaiser through Medi-Cal. So it was all like, okay, it was cool. Like, and that's really how my medical journey was smooth sailing, because Kaiser, they were on top of it. They were like, okay, let's get these appointments going. Let's get you approved for this. Let's get this, like, super supportive of the whole process. And so when I moved, all of that was out the window, gone, just exploded. So it's like I essentially got to start over. And, it's not something that I've like even thought about or harped on. It's just like, it's something that just happens in your journey, and you just have to move accordingly and not let it affect you. And, it's interesting because something like this would totally affect the old me, like totally ruin my brain, but meditating, praying, real good.
Yeah. So, like, I'm trying to understand, why couldn't you just move to Texas, keep your information there, and just continue to get it from Cali?
I wish I knew.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like when I moved here, well, because I was with Kaiser and Kaiser's not everywhere, so we're just starting with that. Kaiser's not everywhere, and they're definitely not in Texas. So even if, trying to move the medical for Kaiser, I would have been butt out anyway, because Kaiser's not here in Texas. And so actually I was at the time trying to find a different provider, because I was trying to get away from Kaiser. And it just kind of all fell in line of like, just move. Like it was just move, like the environment was telling me to move. My body was telling me to move. God was telling me to move. The journey was telling me to move. And it wasn't for me to worry about the details. It wasn't for me to worry about, how I was going to, where I was going to live, how I was going to get approved for it. If my car was going to get repo or whatever, I really feel like this season of my life and this part of the journey is not for me to wonder and shoulda, coulda, woulda about. It's like I got to take my hands off of this, because for so long, me having my hands on the plan, quote unquote, or my plan, quote unquote, it hadn't worked for me.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, let me try. I'm trying something new here. I'm lifting my hands up. I'm going to where it feels good to be at. A lot of people gave me the side eye, like, Texas?
Well, yeah. That's what you hear, like, politically wise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
exactly. And it's,
but yeah.
no, go ahead. No, look, we're so polite.
I had my cousin, she's from Texas. She lives there. And I thought the same thing too, but she was just like, there's so many people that are actually open in Texas. You just don't see it in the policies.
Yeah, yeah, and that's totally the vibe I'm getting. And it's like, I mean, despite everyone being mad and angry, like for traffic and all that, despite that, like everyone is actually like pretty open and like open to just having conversations, not for their mind to be changed, but they're open to conversation, and they're open to perspective. And that's like all you need, honestly. As long as you're open to something, you can get anywhere with that. So, I've been having my little conversations and trying to spread my little wisdom here and there and see what I can see what God has brought me here to Texas for, like you have to.
Have you experienced I think what's it called? The gay street. There's like there's a whole street. I forgot what she said it was called, but
no, but clearly I've been sleeping.
Yeah, she said there's like a whole like strip that has like a whole bunch of just like it's all gay right there in that area.
What?
She lives in like the Fort Worth, Dallas area.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So I live in the Houston area, and yeah, and it sucks. But shout out Houston, though. Shout out. It sucks for me. Y'all are good. Love y'all. But people have been telling me like Dallas is like the area to be at, and especially for sure for us, queer folk, much more welcoming. So I've been talking to wifey like, hey,
and it's
let's check out.
Is your wife from Texas? Is that why
we're both from California.
Oh, okay, so y'all both just up and moved to Texas. What brought you to
Funny story. We were actually talking about like moving, and I was telling her like, hey babe, like I really just feel like we got to get out of here. Like, of course we had both I've been living in Stockton for a while. She grew up, born and raised. And so I was like, look, I'm ready to go. Your hometown, love, but listen, there's more out here to see. There's more out here to do. And I promise I won't steer us wrong. And so she was like, all right, babe, I trust you. And I was like, lit. So when we got married, we were back and forth. It was a lot of things going on around the time that we had got married. Her aunt had got sick, and she lives in Vegas. And so that was one of the places that we were like wanting to go to and move to. So we were like, oh God, is this a sign? Like, you making our aunt sick so we can go and move out there, and then we had also had a friend come, and, we were all like getting closer to God, together. And he was saying like, oh, I have some opportunities in Texas, and you should come. And I was like, God, what are you saying? Split up me and wifey? Like, hold on, like,
Yeah.
her go to Vegas and take care of her aunt and me to Texas, or like, what's going on? So I was like praying and trying to figure it out. And then literally just at the last moment, after we got married, we had took a trip to Texas. We came here for a week, and part of it was to go to the church that I was interested in and I had just joined. And so I wanted to show up in person, and we had got baptized that weekend and everything. So it was really nice, like a renewing to our marriage, our relationship, and things like that. And we liked it. The little preview that we had, it was a facade, but we liked it. And it was like, cool, great, awesome. So, we were like, well, let's do it. Texas, we're on the way. So we packed up everything, sold everything, drove back, and we planted here. And it's, it's been a ride since we got here. And that 2 years settling in thing that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned church and your spirituality. Did you go to that church now? You said it was a facade, or do you go?
No, yeah. I still go to the church now. I like to check out different things. And so although I am at that church, I go to that church, I do watch other churches, and I do, I've never been the type of person that's been like stuck to one thing, because I'm always a skeptic. So I'm always like, when's the ball gonna drop? Even in religion, like, it's just, and it's not even like religion itself, obviously, because God is the religion, but it's the religious gathering. Like, it's the people. It's like, it's always like, are you using the word what it's supposed to be, or you trying to use it against me, or what's going on here? Like, and the pastor gets up there and he's doing his thing. Is it a light switch and you're, oh yeah, we kumbaya, and then when pastor leaves, then it's like, I got my stuff, you got your stuff, like, yeah, brother, sister, God bless, like, but I'm gonna go do me. And it's just like, I'm trying to find my place in the spiritual space and in the church and whatnot, because I grew up, of course, going to church like a lot of Black folk. We, grandparents say put those grandbabies in there, even though we fall asleep and they kick us up, whatever, it's all right, as long as you in church, little baby. And so I grew up trying to, my people's trying to keep us in church, and trying to, but of course they were battling with their own things, and so I'm trying to find this balance of battling with my things and not bringing it to the church space, because I feel like that's what the real thing is. Like, we're battling our own personal things and bringing it to the church space, and then twisting the word, into our situation. And it's not that. Like, the word is the word. What God said is what he said. Treat people how you want to be treated. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah,
When you said it was a facade, what did you mean by that, though?
So Southern hospitality is not real in Texas. That number one. I don't know. I think they mix manners with this term Southern hospitality. Sir and ma'am, like, that's manners to me. Like, that's just, a simple matter of courtesy or manner, something like, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am. Professional in some light, I think they cross that with Southern hospitality. And it's like,
I can see that. I can see that.
you get what I'm saying? It's just, it's not like, it's not given that, it's given, you're polite and you have manners, but you have no home training. Like, it's like the whole thing. It was just like, you got the sir and ma'am, and then everything after that was like, do what you want. And it's like, fuck you, like, you're an ass, like, get out of my way, I'm gonna beat your shit up. And like, it's like, whoa, like,
what happened to the Southern hospitality?
out the window, it's gone. Like, wow. That's really what I mean. Like, when we came, it was like, we're freshly married, of course, so fresh face, happy, like, oh yeah, we're newlyweds, going around, everyone, oh congratulations, oh my gosh, marriage, and oh, do you have kids yet? Don't. Oh great, here's a free thing, here's a free drink, here's and after, when the dust settles, and then of course obviously we actually live here now and planted the roots, it's like you see the real, and it's like road rage every day, people feeling entitled every day, people treating you differently based on status, either socially or economically. I hate to say it, but a lot of like red state values that are like entrenched, and it's like, yes, they're open to conversation, and yes, they're open to perspective, but they trying to like slap it with the Southern hospitality, and it don't work like that, so yeah, that's what I mean with it was a facade, but
gotcha. Yeah, that I get that. That makes sense because it is a red state, and like I said, they show it on the polls, like who they really are. So on the inside,
and every day they show that too. Every day they show they big old Texas booty.
So you feel like you'll stay there for a while though, like you at least 2 years. You gotta get through the 2 years. You gotta get through that 2 years mark.
Yeah, for sure. Like me and wifey have been battling back and forth. Like, should we stay? Should we go? Should we stay? At one point, we were like, we're definitely getting the fuck out of here tomorrow. Like, whatever is going on, drop it. Like, let's get in the cars and go.
Yeah.
But obviously, some logic came in there and was like, settle down. So yeah, right now I think we're going to give it another like 6 months. Our 1-year lease is almost up, so we've been here almost a year already. So we're thinking, okay, give it a little 6 more months, see how we're feeling, and then after that, if we're feeling like okay, we might should grow some roots, plant some things here and there, we'll go from there. But if not, we already looking at other states. We already got them on the, got them on the back burner.
Already got them on the list.
That's plan B.
Yeah.
Real close.
Yeah. I think you guys just like finding a way to make friends too will also help.
Yeah.
Because Kansas is not far off from Texas, and what I wanted to leave. I wanted to go to Texas actually, just because I was searching for queer people of color, and I know they're in Texas because I've experienced it.
Yeah.
But starting this podcast, I've grown to find people of color that are queer in Kansas, which has made me and my partner be like, okay, we can stay here. We just have to find our people.
Yes.
And that's what made us think, okay, we don't have to like rush and move. Like we just got a house and so too. So it's like you can't just up and leave like that. Like we were thinking like, so it's like, okay, for us to stay here, what are we searching for is what, like we sat down and realized, and that's what it was. It's more queer people who are also just people of color. Like, when we go to a restaurant, like last time we went out to a restaurant, it's just me, her, and her mom who are the people of color in this restaurant. Like, that's how it is. But it's, I hate it. No, but it's like, when we create friends, like the next part we went to, we had our friends group. So it's like, okay, but it's like, we have to bring that into the environment that we are here. And we realize if we move, we're still going to have to find that. So it's like, do it here versus somewhere else. So I think maybe you and your partner, and someone told me just on here, Bumble with Friends. I've never tried it. But
being a grown-up makes you try
it.
some crazy ass shit. I can,
for real,
I'll give it to adulthood for real. Like, I'm not gonna cap. I've tried the Bumblebee friend, and I've tried another app called Make Friends. Like Make Friends app. Like,
was it good? Like,
it's so the Make Friends app is it's more like groups, like activities and stuff. So it's like you find activities and that other people are into, that you're into, and then you show up, and it's like you all get into stuff. But that's also like for me, like, because we was just talking about the door access, so I'm like, I can't show up with the door and looking through the peephole while I'm already there. Like, it's not given it'll work out. All things are not adding up. But I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I think that though, the point that you made about finding your people and your community has come up so much for us, for sure, in a lot of our conversations, like, and definitely for me, because like I told you, I have zero. Like, I have the people that I've connected with through the podcast that live here, because I happen to move closer to some of those people, but they're all of them are artists, so they're like in the studio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my
Yeah.
studio's at home, so
Yeah.
like,
I ain't gotta go nowhere.
exactly.
You are very a homebody, I see from this. Yeah. I am too, but I gotta step out. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas.
Facts. But listen, hear me out. Listen, my youth, I really did a number. I really did. I did my big one when I was younger. Like, I started drinking at like 12. Like, I did, like, I was partying.
I said, me too.
I love that. See, we connected.
Yes, that was me too. I grew up young.
Yeah, right. Like, I grew up young. I started drinking at 12. I started partying probably around like 14, 15. And I didn't stop. Like, I'm working on finding my middle ground, but I was very much a extreme. Like, I'm on one end or the other. So it's like, I'm partying, I'm doing it extreme. If I'm in school, like, I'm extreme. I'm trying to be the head of the class, like, and I'm trying to find that middle ground now as an adult. But I really did a number when I was younger, and I was extreme, and I drunk, and I had some bad things happen.
Yeah.
To say the least. Like, I've gotten drugged. I woke up on the side of the sidewalk with the police standing over me. Like, are you okay? Like, I've lived. Listen, trust me.
Yeah.
So when I tell people, like, I don't really drink like that anymore, or I don't go out, like, it doesn't really interest me and whatnot, like, that's just because I feel like I've lived in that way, and I'm trying to, do something different. And so, like, I sit home and I smoke. I smoke my lovely earth, and and I hop on that Xbox. That's my life now.
hey, I need your gamer tag.
Yo, let's go.
Do you play Call of Duty, Fortnite? What do you play?
Call of Duty. Like, come on.
All right, Call of Duty all day.
Let's go.
Let me get that real quick.
Day.
What's your game tag?
All day.
Because it's the weekend too.
Yes.
What's your gamer tag?
Top tier grind. Top tier grind.
Top tier.
Y'all make sure y'all add me too.
Top tier grind. That's TEAR or TEIR or
TIER. Did I do that right? Oh my God,
spelling's not my strong suit. Look at us getting gamers. TIER. Top tier grind. You guys, mine is I'm trying. Man, I got a PlayStation though, but
what? You know what's crazy though?
Crossplay. So
I love that. I want to get a PlayStation too, so it's okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be gamer friends, to tell you
that. I need it. I need it, because listen, like I said, you need the people that are similar to you.
So let me just disclose this: if we play games together, my crew that I play with, they're shit talkers. Like, specifically my brother, he thinks he's top freaking notch, and he just talks so much shit. So just beware. Okay?
It's all good, because listen, I play with my wife's dad.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he's definitely and his son, which is her brother. So it's real fam shit talking up in there.
Yeah.
And I'm not the greatest either. Like, I try.
Me neither.
We right here, like, I try, but listen, I also work. I'm a podcast. It's so much, like, but I get my stuff in. You know what I'm saying? Don't downplay.
I was late to the game.
Yes,
I was late to the game.
That part.
But yeah, I got you locked in.
Let's
now.
Go.
I got the PlayStation over there. We go. You said you mentioned, like, so you're pretty close with your partner's family then, like they're really involved with everything you guys got going on then?
Yeah, they're definitely involved. They were at the wedding. My wife definitely was not going to have it if her family wasn't there. She has a big family. She has 11 siblings on her mom's side and 5, I think, on her dad. I gotta get it right.
Are you an only child?
I wish.
Not I
I love my brothers. I, no, but it's funny because it's felt like I'm the only child because we've always all done our own thing, literally. Like
wish.
you know, the only time I can remember us like just hanging out because we hung out is because the parents brought us together as kids, and the birthday thing. We're doing the birthday thing at the bowling alley. Come on through, But it was never like, yeah, like call my brother to go hang out with him. So that's why it's like, it does kind of feel like I'm an only child, but no, I'm definitely not. I have four other.
Okay. Are you in the middle, the oldest, youngest?
Well, I guess I'm a little older now. It's complicated. Listen, hear me out. So I have a younger brother that I just had a conversation with my father, and it was a huge thing, and we were unaware that like he was our little brother, really, essentially, like just be frank, and so it was always like a really like strange energy in the air, to say the least. It's like I'm hanging out with my other three older brothers, and that would make me the youngest technically. And so then the little brother comes in, and it's like he came in, but then he kind of disappeared, and he went and did his own thing like all the other of us. And so like I don't really know him as well or at all, if any. And so I'm the middle brother now. It's
Okay.
I'm getting used to the change.
Yeah.
Like I would used to be the youngest, but now it's like I guess I'm an older brother now.
Yeah. So you don't do you talk to your brothers at all? Do they know about like your wife?
Yeah,
All that?
so I talk to the person I talk to the most is my oldest brother, and he's from a different mom, but he has been the most active in my life. He is incredible. I love him so much. He's a rapper, a producer. He's an actor. I just went to go see him on Broadway. I'm so proud of him. Like he's got so many accomplishments, and I look up to him so much. And he's the reason why I'm, you know, as creative and really honing in on that. So he's the one I talk to the most, and then my other two brothers, they do their thing. So love them from a distance. So yeah, I mean, we've tried to talk to each other, and as much as we can throughout the years, but like I said, we've all just really done our thing, and that's kind of just how we grew up. Like it's like everybody just kind of do your own thing, just try and make it. Just try to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, life be life, and sometimes then you
Life
just
in.
create that distance without even trying to.
Exactly.
Especially
Yeah.
if you don't live in the same state.
Yeah, for sure. I really love that you said that because, my oldest brother growing up, like, he had a different mom. And so, of course, he had a different way that he grew up environmentally wise and everything else. And so, when I was, I don't know, I was very, very young. He was already like in high school and like going overseas to, you know, do the traveling and all of that. And then, after that, he went straight into college, and he stayed in college, and he was on the East Coast in college. And it's just like, it was like the years just stretched us further and further and further. And it's like, I probably seen him once every 5 years or so. And when I went to go and see him on Broadway, that was the first I had seen him in like 6-7 years. And so
Oh wow.
yeah, I mean, we try as much as we can and talk on the phone and text, but it's just like you said, life be life, and that's what it is. So,
yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Life do be life. And
Yeah.
where do you see the grown up podcast going now? Like what does the future hold for that?
For this little baby,
Yeah, I know that's what I be calling Queen Talk.
Yes.
I'm like, this Queen Talk is such a baby, and I have so many ideas,
Yes.
so many ideas.
Yes. I see grown up podcasts just expanding to people who really need the podcast. I put the podcast on for myself, but I really do it for others. You know, I want other people to have the light shine on them and know that there is support for them, unwavering support. Like I support everyone, literally. Like whoever you are, you could be old, young, you could whatever. Like I support you in your passion.
Unless you're Trump. Let's make it very clear here
Very,
on
very,
Queen
very
Talk.
distinctly clear. Very, very clear.
Oh.
Yeah. Unless you're Trump. But yeah, I support those who have a passion, and their passion also helps others, you know. And so I see the podcast growing into something that is hugely supporting, and hopefully changing some lives, you know. Hopefully some of the perspectives that I share on there can help other people look into their life and be like, maybe there's something that I can, you know, switch up with myself, or you know, try something different to be better, or you know, maybe even get into any of the job titles that of people that I've had, you know, on the podcast, get interested in that. You know, maybe a young person 18 listens and they're like, oh, this is interesting career, or this is an interesting conversation, or you know, I just hope that it's changing lives and helping in the way that it should be, you know.
Yeah, and I love the concept of it. Like I was on my like 2 episodes ago. I was just like talking about how life is right now, and
Yeah.
just like as an adult, and how you want to just like have certain conversations with friends, but we all have our own problems, and just life be life, and just
Yes.
growing up, you want to just like have that connection and
Mm-hmm.
stuff with them, but it's you have to figure what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the kind of the concept of my artwork, it being like a crinkled piece of paper, because I feel like that's kind of like what we are. We're all crinkled pieces of paper trying to iron out, you know, the lines and the, you know, perfections, but at the end of the day, this is who we are. We're the crinkled piece of paper and we're just trying to figure it out, you know. So,
Yes, I love that. I love that. Derric, man, this has been great. This has been great. I just have one more question for you. Well, besides that, is there anything in your story that maybe I left out or we didn't discuss that you want to talk on?
I mean, I think you hit it all, honestly. Like this has
Uh,
been a great conversation. It's been such an honor. Your energy is really, really dope. Like I
I
definitely enjoyed my
appreciate
time.
that. I appreciate that. Derric, what would you like to leave the audience with today?
Ooh, I love that question. I want to leave the audience with love, with light, with positive energy, and with a perspective that I'm a human, just like you're a human, and we're all going through what we're going through. But at the end of the day, I'm here for you. And, you know, you can reach out to me. My line is open outside of the podcast. But if you do want to be on the podcast, you can always send in a guest form. You know, just try to stay positive in your life and in your journey, and know that wherever you are in that journey, in this very day, in this very moment, and whenever you listen to this, you're okay. You're okay. And you are a good person, and you're going to continue to be a good person, and you're going to change some lives.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Derric, this has been awesome. Like this the conversation. I got
Likewise.
a new Call of Duty
Man,
buddy.
we
We
about to run
in
it
there.
up. It's over.
In there. Yeah. Just thank you so much again for saying yes to being on my podcast.
Absolutely.
I didn't know I'm not scared to like reach out to people, but I know like we all got a lot going on and stuff. So for you to take your time out of your day on this morning, I just really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
it's my pleasure.
I love your podcast. I will be signing up. I'll fill out my guest form on your podcast.
Come on.
To get on there as well. And I just, thank you so much just for what you're doing for the community too, just being that representation.
Absolutely.
That is very needed.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate your words. I receive them so much. They right here.
Yes. But thank you again. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. Make sure, if you don't already, hit that subscribe button, that like button. Follow Derric's podcast, the Grown Up Podcast. It'll be below in the link. Give it a listen. And follow his socials. They'll also be down there as well.
Run it up.
Yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Run it up.
Yes.
But as always, family, friends, strangers, love. Be nice.